Okay, welcome to the fourth chapter in our training. We're going to now cover the various tabs as well as PRN and over-the-counter medications in this section. And so before I get into the PRN over-the-counters, I do need to show you some of the tabs because we'll use some of that in the process of providing a PRN over-the-counter med. And so across the top, you'll see the client prompts as your first tab. That brings you to this particular page, current med sheet. If I click on this, this is where you'll see a more formalized looking MAR. When you do click on it, and we won't click on the next, it looks similar, it takes a minute for this information to load because it's pulling all the information that's been documented for Samuel L. Jackson here. And so you'll see as I kind of talk about this, it's still loading and pulling that up. So as we look through here, it'll show me this is Samuel Jackson's MAR, kind of traditional MAR for the month of February. And so as I go through here, you'll see the different medications that he receives. And so he gets medications at 8, 2, and 8. And so as I go through here, I'll see a number of things. Somebody's been documenting a lot on his catheter care. And so all these X's indicate here are times when it's been passed, completed as successful, or it was not scheduled. And so on these days here, it was scheduled, it wasn't completed. When it is completed by somebody, it'll show with a person's initials. There are symbols also for out and away. Those types of things you'll see on here as well. So if you wanted to come back and look at this, this is how you'd access it. You can get similar views for things that are labeled as a task or vital. And our tasks are all of our treatments, and then vitals are any vital signs that we've put in. The next piece that I would like to just give you a brief overview with is the face sheet. There is a lot of information that could go into the face sheet. We've elected to not put the vast majority of an individual's information into this. We're going to continue to utilize the Therap individual data form as our primary face sheet for individuals that we'll send to the hospital and also use for training purposes. The only information that's gone in here is information that may push forward into another space in the system. And so things like allergies, diagnoses, diet that you see at the top of the prompt page, that information we made sure went in here, as well as kind of some basic demographic information for each person. The reason we did this is so that you have accurate information, but because we're not using this as our face sheet of record, we didn't put a lot of time into it. Other reports, you'll see here, there are a number of different things you could pull up and print out. You're welcome to take a look at it and experiment with them as you need. One thing we will be using is the home medication report. This will be how we access the list of active medications for an individual when we're going to the hospital, urgent care, or a physician's office to make sure that we're bringing the most up-to-date list of medications for a person. The last tab is our protocols tab, and our nursing team is putting all of the protocols here into CaraSolva so that they're here and at your disposal. And so with those protocols, things that you'll find in here are your bowel protocols, your seizure protocols, pain med protocols, those types of things. Something that you won't see here is a person's behavioral protocol. And so if a person has a PRN for a behavioral medication, you won't see that here. And so just so that you know that, you'll still go to Therap and be able to get that information from their positive support plan and continue to document on the actual use PRN section there for follow-up information. As you come through here, so as you look at the protocols, we're going to use constipation as our example. We're going to say Samuel L. Jackson is having some constipation issues. He hasn't gone for a few days. And so this will allow us to be able to talk about how we're going to handle our intake and elimination and bowels, as well as talk about our protocols and our PRN use all kind of in one nice conversation here. And so before I go further, the breakup we're going to utilize for this is, and unfortunately there's not a way around not having to document some information in both Therap and CaraSolva on this. So this is how it's going to work together. our intake and elimination will continue to be done in Therap as it is now. And so our 4 o'clock med passer, just like we always have, will be responsible for coming into CaraSolva or coming into Therap, taking a look at the bowel record and determining, hey, does something need to happen? Are they on day 2? Are they on day 3? That type of thing. If a person's on day 2 or day 3, an intervention may be needed. You'll come back here into CaraSolva and you can pull up and see what a person's bowel protocol is if you need to reference that. And so that information is here. And so you'll click on the View Protocol, you'll come here, you'll click on the drop down, and you can click on bowel protocol. Samuel L. Jackson has a seizure protocol as well. I'll just click on that and you'll see that what happens here in the description changes depending on which one you choose. And so we'll see here, this is a seizure med. You'll have blanks filled in. We just copied and pasted this in. It would say Samuel has atonic seizures or drop seizures. And so you can reference a person's full protocol right here. But we've noticed that Samuel hasn't had anything for a couple of days. He hasn't had anything. We'll say he's on day 4. So if he's on day 4 with no bowel movement, it says administer Fleet's enema rectally. Okay? So if I needed to, I could print this. But I'm going to come back over to client prompts at that point. And so because he's had no bowel movement in 4 days, we have to do a Fleet's enema. So I'm going to come over here and I'll draw your attention to this PRN OTC drop down. And one of the really nice things that I like about CaraSolva is instead of talking about the medication we're supposed to give people, it talks about the symptoms people are experiencing. And so it's a little bit different way to look at it. I do like it, but it's going to it's going to take a little bit for us to acclimate to this. And so as you look through the drop down, it'll have the different symptoms that we have PRN medications already in the system for Samuel. And so if he hasn't gone for a few days, if it's just mild, that would probably be his first step, day 3. If it's more serious, then that's constipation. And so I'm going to click on that. And when I click on that, now it's going to take me to this page. And so this is our PRN OTC administration page. And so you'll see the symptom that you chose up here. And then it's going to include all the medications that Samuel has that could be used to help with that symptom. And so when an individual has a protocol, the protocol will tell us what we need to do. And so it says that we're supposed to give, and we didn't match these up very well, but let's say he's supposed to get the suppository. We can click on the suppository, and it's going to give me my instructions in the prescription. It says insert 1 suppository on day 3, no bowel movement. I'm going to click on my remarks. I'm going to say the med passer, I need to have some type of remark in here for why I'm giving this medication. I'm following the protocol. I didn't need a nurse to tell me to take this action. I'm just doing what's already been laid out. For any other PRN medication that doesn't have a protocol associated, so say pain, say the person's having a headache or they're having unexplained pain, you do still need to call the nurse to get the okay and authorization before giving this medication. So one of the really nice things, another really nice things that CaraSolva does is it tracks all PRN medication that we've given and when it was given. And so I can look down here and see that, hey, and I just typed this in during the break, was that Samuel L. Jackson had on 2/10 at 3 o'clock, he had milk of mag, 30 cc's, and it says call the nurse if symptoms persist. And we set this one up, looks like it's supposed to be followed up in 2 hours and 30 minutes. And so it'll show, hey, when should we be responding and following up? He also had some pain medications, largely about the same time, with 2 tablets because he had a headache. And so it's going to tell me what else is going on. The thing this will help do is if there's something that's going to clash or if we're going to try and give something too close together, this will give you a warning. So you should be able to look at and see, hey, what did we give here that may be interacting together? But say I went I set this up, I'm ready to go. I administer the suppository, everything went well. We're going to wait and see what happens. I'm going to click save. It's been administered. It's going to go ahead and load. And what this now does, if I come to my current med sheet, and it'll take a minute to load. Once again, takes a while for this to be able to pull because it has a lot of information. But I just like to demonstrate what this looks like on the MAR. I can navigate forward to the end of the MAR by clicking on these arrow tabs here. And here is the suppository that we just administered a couple of minutes ago. Every time we administer a PRN medication, it'll go on to the bottom. It'll list what was given, what time, who gave it, what the medication name was, what the prescription was, your comments, and then you'll notice there's some follow-up summary and comments. And so I'm going to show you what those follow-up summary and comments look like here in just a moment, but every time we give a PRN medication, it's going to put a follow-up note or a follow-up prompt into your list further down. When that comes due, it'll prompt you to write, hey, what happened? Now, for some things, we'll be able to say it was effective, ineffective, and have some comments on it. But some things, especially with bowel interventions, we may not have a response yet. Now, this is something we've run into issues with in regards to double documentation. And so to clarify this point, the follow-up for a bowel intervention, so right here is an example of what that follow-up event looks like. Follow-up event for the suppository, we're just going to say it's effective or ineffective. You don't need to come in here and say what size, how much, what time, that type of thing. After an hour and a half, it may not be effective yet. You can put ineffective. That's fine. We're going to do our regular elimination documentation in TheraUp just like we always have. We're not going to document that here. So you can just say effective, ineffective. If I click on this, I might just say put in here for bowel interventions is not a big deal. Wait. So that's what I did. That's what happened. It's going to take me back to the landing page when I'm done. And it'll go back and document that the follow-up for that says, hey, it was ineffective, and we're going to wait longer. No results yet. And so you'll get that here, but for bowel interventions, once again, any specific information should go in TheraUp. This is just, hey, real quick, this is what I saw. And it's going to populate another one because we've done a bunch of these. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close out this section on PRNs, protocols, and the tabs across the top. And we are going to move on to some of our miscellaneous kind of wrap up in the final segments.